Hello everyone, and welcome back to the joy of building. Um, Today we're just gonna continue a little Italian style, um, what do you call it? A little town, I suppose it is. Um, so, to recap last episode, we've made a little bit of a road and we've started to really develop a style for this town, and now we're just going to finalize it, I think. We've already got 2 houses down, and I don't want too many houses to be honest. So we'll just do 1, 2, 3 more, I think. So right. Um, One thing I really want to do, even though it's not really that accurate in the kind of build I'm doing, the kind of town I'm thinking, I want to have someone hanging their clothes outside. So let's just make a little clothesline like this. Oops. And then we can have some banners on there. Of course, because we're talking cycling, we need the pink shirt on there. Um, so, funny story actually. Well, not funny. It's a little bit of a sad story to be honest. So, me and my dad cycling to Rome together. But we decided that it would be fun to also spend some time cycling with some of my dad's friends. So we started in the Netherlands, back home, and we started with 4 people. We started with me, myself, my dad, and 2 of my dad's friends. And they came with us to Switzerland. Well, one of them not technically to Switzerland. They basically got most of the way to Switzerland, and then they were basically out of time. They didn't have too much time to go on a month-long trip, so that's why they went back earlier. And there was another guy, and he also had around 1 week to cycle with us. Um, so he decided, like, well, if I've only got 1 week, and I want to see the best part of the journey, I want to see the most beautiful place on earth, I want to come to Italy. So there, me and my dad were on the bicycle for 2.5 weeks at this point, doing 100+ kilometers a day, um, and slowly getting used to all the hills and slowly getting used to all the hot weather. Um, so we've basically trained by just being on the bike. Now comes my dad's friend. Basically untrained, comes from 14 degrees Celsius weather right into the searing hot Tuscan heat. He comes to, uh, well, he was supposed to come to Modena, but due to some miscommunication, he ended up coming to. Oh, I should know this name. No, the name escapes me. He basically came 100 kilometers more down the road than where we were supposed to meet him. No big deal, we meet him there instead. But the the thing is, he's basically untrained. We're in Tuscany, in the middle of summer. It's 40 degrees. It, and he has basically almost the same baggage, the same amount of bags on his bike as we do. And let me tell you what, it's not a little. when when you're on a vacation, you with the bike, you need to take all your clothes and all your chargers and uh, all the things you normally take on a vacation. But you also need to take a tent and a sleeping bag and a little mattress to lay on. So there's a lot of stuff you're taking with you. And also, as I've said, uh, you need to take a lot of water because it's hot and you're sweating a lot. So taking water, very advised. Now, that's all nice and good, but he's untrained, so just doesn't work out. It, it's it's just basically, and I'm gonna say it, it was a stupid idea. He should have just joined the first week of our vacation, and well, he there were some other circumstances, but eventually he turned back before we reached Rome, and was all very sad. So going back to the beginning of the story, uh, he was wearing a pink shirt while cycling, and in Italy and the Giro d'Italia, uh, the pink shirt has quite a bit of meaning. So that's why I wanted to tell you guys about it. Is this right? I feel like it's wrong, but I think it's right. Ah, whatever. The house just has an odd shape. I think the roof is not really in the right place. Whatever. The roof has an odd shape. Let's just go with it. So he was wearing a pink shirt, and a lot of Italians were praising him for being brave enough to wear the pink shirt, because in the Giro d'Italia, the round of Italy, the pink shirt means you're, I don't exactly know what it means. I think you're the one who won the previous day. So you're the one leading the charge, basically. And, well, let me just say, he wasn't leading the charge even when wearing the pink shirt. Most of the time it was either me or my dad in front, except when going downhill. That guy, he goes fast downhill. He's almost suicidal going downhill, um, which is another thing people don't often think about. Going downhill is just as, if not even more exhausting than going uphill. Going uphill, it's whatever. You go slow and that's it. You don't really have a choice there. You just go slow and you just pedal your way through, and eventually you'll get there. That's just something you'll have to accept. But going downhill, Ooh, going downhill you have a choice. Going downhill you can go as fast as you want. And I didn't go really fast. I think my top speed overall was 60 kilometers an hour, but most of the time I'm good when I'm going 40 kilometers an hour. Any more than that, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but I wanna keep myself um, not on the pavement, basically. So I usually just brake a little bit more, and well, I played a little bit more safe when going downhill than him. But yeah, going these kinds of towns, usually we were going uphill, or at least it felt like that. But maybe that's just because if you're going uphill for 10 kilometers and then you're going downhill for 10 kilometers, even though it's the same distance, it's about 10 kilometers, the downhill bit um, takes maybe 10 minutes and the uphill bit takes half an hour. Maybe even an hour if you're unlucky. Oops. Alright, put some grass up there. And I have a little bit of park up there, so having some grass up there seems like a good idea. Let's put some of these in just to give it a bit more depth. And let's put some... not really much room for a stair, is there? Well, there's much room, but some of these I can't really orient them the right way. So, here we go. And then we're going to have a little bit of an entrance over here. So, there's going to be a little bit of a path. So, these kinds of towns, most of the time, it felt like at least we were going uphill. But I don't really mind, you know. Going uphill is kind of, how do you say it? It's kind of like meditating. It's really calming. It's just, you're there, you're going, and basically it's, to me at least, I want to say that's the fun part. Going downhill, scary, and going too fast most of the time. And going too fast is really no fun. And especially because you've worked so hard to go all the way up and then, well, you're back down again. So, most of the time, when we were in these towns, we would go uphill. And then, if it was possible, we would get some water from the water fountain. They're not always there, but most of the time there's a little bit of a water fountain. And let's use some... Oh, I already had some smooth stone. Let's use some smooth stone to make a little bit of a road in here. So we would take a break in these little park areas and then we would sometimes eat our breakfast, which consisted of a little bit of bread with some chocolate paste, some jam maybe. And I usually also had a bit of yogurt. I really enjoy uh, having that because, well, I had a spoon with me anyway, and I don't know, something about it. Just I don't usually eat uh, yogurt. Just eat yogurt, you know. All right, so here's our little water fountain. There's the water coming out of it, and then it goes down. And I should probably make sure it goes nowhere. So we have these little fountains, and you can fill up your water bottles in there. And there's usually metal, a bench in here. So let's make it a little bit of a stone bench for now. And they usually have a back to them, but well, it's really hot, so you don't really want to sit against it too much. But still you do because, well, you're just so exhausted sometimes. So there's two benches. Um, Sometimes there's a tree. Let's do a little tree in here. Because we're doing not very many natural things in this build. So trees in these parks usually have a little bit of a fence around it. Not always, but usually most of the ones I've seen have a fence around it. Let's not put a fence on that side then. And they're nice big oak trees, so let's make some branches in here. And let's put some leaves around it. And sitting in the shade is one of the nicest things you can do when it's 37 degrees outside Celsius and you've been cycling all day, all week even, and you just have a nice cold bottle of water with you because the little water fountain over there, it dispenses cold water. Although most of the times um, it's not even that cold, but as long as it's colder than your body temperature, it cools you down a little bit, and that's really nice. Though sometimes some of these water fountains, the water in there has some strange taste. So in Italy in general, they put a lot of chlorine in their water, makes it more clean, and if you taste it in there, you know the water is at least there's not diseases in there at least, and the water has been somewhat cleaned. But sometimes the water just tastes not like chlorine, but just not great. Sometimes it's not great. Like the fountain itself is moldy or something. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but we haven't gotten sick from the water fountain, so I believe we're all good. And then up here we're just gonna have a little bit of a pillar. Just to pay, how do you say it? Homage? 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 I think pay homage to the Roman past of uh, Italy. Right, let's do it like that. Nothing too crazy. Let's maybe put one of these in there. Nothing too crazy. You could put a fire in there if you want to make it a bit more crazy, but I'm good. I don't think we would really want a fire in there. All right, so and again, this might not be too accurate, but I want to spice up the build a bit, so let's put some leaves around. Nope, not too much. So if you find one of these towns in Tuscany, uh, for those of you who don't know, Tuscany, it's really, really hot in there. So again, 37 degrees when we were there, even up to 40 at times. Um, for those of you in America, that's like 105 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. And it's unbearable. So some people are like, how can you cycle? Um, and I've never been able to give a straight answer. I don't know how I've been able to cycle in that weather. It's just too hot. Um, but no, sitting around in that weather is a lot more tiresome uh, than actually cycling. Cycling, you're in the wind, you get some air in your face, and you cool down that way. And at least you're doing something. Now, if you're just sitting around, it's still the same temperature, and basically, you don't want to do that. It's too much. Too much, I tell you. So, this is gonna be another house, but there's not much space, so I'll just keep it simple. But I just wanted to be able to have a little bit of an alleyway in here. Let's put it like that. Make that half a block lower. Alright, there's our alley. And let's build this roof. Make it as easy as we can. We're gonna rotate the roof as opposed to the other roofs we've built. Because otherwise this roof would be quite high. Just as high as the other ones actually. But like this, it's only a little bit of the plot, so it doesn't take too long to do this. Alright. And let's just put a door in there, why the hell not? And again, outline it with andesite to give it some more character. Let's continue our sidewalk over here. And then I should probably finish the sidewalk over there. So I'll do that real quickly and then I'll meet back with you guys. So I'm not quite finished yet, but I just want to tell you another kind of anecdotal story to my cycling trip. It's not anecdotal, I just want to tell it. It's part of the cycling trip. Anyway, so when cycling we used a specific set of maps. So there's a thing called the Benjamin's route from Amsterdam to Rome, and that's what we used. And they sell these little booklets, and it's all nice and pretty, and they have the maps in there, and it's pretty easy to follow. So it's nice for us, and we can get to Rome that way. We don't really have to uh, ask around or use Google Maps, because most of the way uh, the maps in the books are perfectly clear, and it's really really handy to follow such a map. But what that also means is that a lot of other people also use the exact same maps, which is one of the best things about it, actually, because you run into the same people over and over again. Because even though some people might cycle a bit faster than you, or you might cycle a bit faster than them, the difference per day isn't that large, to be honest. So, not in Bergamo, which is kind of the type of city I'm building this after, but I think it's near Brescia, another town in Italy. Me and my dad ran into this couple from Belgium, and they were doing the exact same route. And later we've met them again in an area. I don't know the town's name. There was some small town that was hit by an earthquake a couple of years back, and we met them there again. And then later we met them near the lake of Chiusi. So that's kind of something uh, that's kind of similar with other vacations. So if you go camping on a campsite somewhere, you meet some people, there's people in the tents next to you, and you kind of get along or you don't. And if you get along, you spend the week with them and chat with them, and that's all nice and good. But on a cycling trip like this, you don't know if you're gonna meet someone ever again. You don't know how they're doing if you haven't seen them for a couple days. But the fun thing is that usually you see them again. So even though at some point you might be hundreds of kilometers apart, you'll usually find each other again, and that's a ton of fun. So my dad has my dad likes to call it making friends on vacation, and I think it's a lot of fun to meet people that way. And because they're doing the exact same thing, they've also been away from home for, well, at this point, 2 weeks, maybe a month almost. Yeah, let's do the roof like this. So again, that's something unique that you don't get on very many holidays, where you have such a unique thing in common with people you meet. And of course you also meet other people, but I think that's part of the fun of the cycling trip. It's just meeting people like that. And another guy we met somewhere, I think it was maybe just barely Germany, maybe it was France. We met this guy. Well, we didn't really meet him, but he was on the same campsite as we were for the night. And we did see he was doing the exact same trip we were doing. He was also doing the Benjamin's route to from Amsterdam to Rome, and we met him later, all the way in Rome at the end of our journey. So we didn't meet him for the whole trip, except that once, and then in Rome we see him again. Now that's something you don't see every day. In fact, we didn't see him every day. I'm sorry, guys. That's a stupid pun. Alright, so what am I doing over here? And these roofs, I've kind of given up on making them uh, look real good. They're just a bit all over the place. But maybe that's the charm of these builds, that they're not they're pretty, but they're not designed like uh, in the Netherlands. A lot of buildings are designed by an architect, but these are kind of more all over the place. And I find that's true for a lot of places in Italy, that I've been to at least, where even though all the houses do fit together nicely in the same theme, they're all unique. They're not really the same anywhere. So I think some of the houses may even just be built by the people living in the houses, which is something completely unheard of in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, you either buy or rent a house, but you don't usually see many people even building something as small as just a little shed on the side. You don't really see that much over here. But in Italy, I think it's a bit more common, and I think um, people really need to make their own little sheds and things in Italy, because in the Netherlands the government is, I, I don't want to get into politics really, but I'll quickly touch on it. I think the government is very socially oriented. Um, we have pretty cheap schools for almost anyone that wants to go to school, and I think that's different in Italy. Um, but same goes for the housing then, because all right, let's use this color again. So that's why I think a lot of houses in Italy are kind of the design of the person that lives there. It's not really designed by an architect. It's not really um, so well thought out um, as a whole. And again, I'm not trying to insult Italy. I'm just saying things that I observe myself. So if I'm wrong, please do tell me. Um, because I love being proven wrong, because that means I've learned something. Alright. Just do it like that. Put some stone under here. And I think this last roof is gonna be a disaster actually, because I don't know what I'm doing with it. So that's why I'm just avoiding it for a little bit. And let's go up half a block. So in Italy, you see a lot of these really, really small uh, kind of trucks, I would say. Um, like one person fits in there, and they just, you see them everywhere. It's just something unique and interesting that I like about Italy. Um, so anyway, I think we're nearing completion of this build. I'll just quickly finish this roof. It's not turning out too bad, but it is something special, this roof. Alright. And tell me, guys, if you're still watching, do you enjoy having me talk about things from my vacation, basically? So, I enjoy talking about it, but I've noticed this episode I should probably prepare a little bit more, because I've been stumbling over my words a little bit more than I would like to. But this cycling trip was really a unique experience, and um, to be honest, I won't say right now I would do it again, because the downside is it took so long to get to Rome, and I was gone for a month, and I kind of missed home and you guys, and that's why I'm here again. So anyway, tell me if you want to see more kind of Italy themed builds. Um, it's kind of out of my comfort zone to build like this, but as you guys can see, I think if we work hard enough, we can definitely make something that we can be proud of. I'll definitely present this to anyone who asks to see it. So I'll put this build up on the Den, the Minecraft server where I've been putting up all these builds. Uh, so you guys can check it out. So anyway, I've been rambling on a bit, so I should probably end it here. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.